Welcome to Season 7 of A Little Birdie Told Me with rollercoaster.ie. I'm your host, Rebecca Horan, and on episode 4, I'm talking to broadcaster and health coach, Clare McKenna. Sponsored by Optimal Follow On. We believe that every feed is a gift. That's why we've dedicated over 50 years to breast milk research. Optimal Follow On Milk, your life, our science. Breastfeeding is best. Follow-on milk should be used as part of a mixed diet from 6 months. Talk to a health professional. And if you like this episode, it would be a great help if you could like it, share it, and subscribe to the podcast. So this is a very busy, in-demand lady who, quick background story, she would have been Spin Talks major lady of the hour when I was reading the news in Malthouse at 98 FM, and this was this woman running the show with Jonathan McRae, and her voice is still so synonymous. I just think you've got a very unique voice. And then went on to have this big broadcast career. We know she's done a ton of telly for Virgin. She's Newstalk and podcasting, but now is like in this very interesting space in wellness. So welcome, Clare McKenna.
Thank you so much for having me. And I always think of our chats.
Yes.
At weekends, sometimes we'd be in on weekends. We'd be like, what is our life? Why are we here on a Sunday morning? But we loved radio, we loved our jobs, and we're still doing it now.
But it's media. Like the fact that you've just said, when I was 25, probably not married yet. No, it wouldn't have been 25, maybe 28, 29, and was talking like, why are we doing this? It's so hard. How did you find that? Did you get the shift from it? I didn't get the freelance work. And the fact I just said to you at 41 when you came in, God, I'm just hustling and it's hard. Is it this industry or our personalities?
It's the industry. The hustle never ends. I was texting back and forth with somebody else big in the industry, and there was an opportunity I was kind of talking to her about, and she was like, go for it. And she has a big gig now, and she was like, I remember all the unanswered emails I got from that until I got it. The hustle never ends.
So it is the industry. It's not the alpha female, our personalities, our my ADHD. It's not. It's this industry.
Are we alpha females?
Are we not?
Yes, I'm sure it's a mix of both.
Like, as in, I think I'm not, because I'm with the earth and I sea swim and I'm hippy dippy and I'm a soft caregiver. But when I step back from why I do all of this, surely there's an ego in there, no? And I think that's an alpha thing. Like, I want to hit the ceilings. I'm very much want to show my two girls that women can do anything and everything. I'm hugely competitive and ambitious. I only realised recently I thought I was an absolute dope, but I think I am. So is that not alpha, or am I completely boxing us off? I think we're alpha.
I don't know. I mean,
are we not?
We're entitled to be ambitious.
But we never were we weren't allowed. So now it's just hunger.
I really try not to always be striving for the next thing. So much as I know the hustle is part of the game, like I've been asked to give a lecture to some people studying radio, and I was thinking that's something I'm going to say as part of my presentation is around the hustle, because it's tough. You get lots of knockbacks, and it's the people who are left still standing, like Squid Games, who are still willing to keep going. Yeah. And it's not necessarily, and I mean
talent.
I mean that with the greatest, because some people just say, I'm fed up with this, I can't do it anymore.
And they're sane.
So it's the people who stay in the race. So
I totally agree.
It is really, really important.
It's a race to the bottom. It's you're completely correct. It's like any industry, like, oh, it's the talented that, no, the survivors survived. It's not the talent. It's the ones who were like, I'm just going to stay. And you know, a load of them, like I have a lot of friends in media who went into tech or content creation within a tech company, or they write now, or they're at home running their own show, right? But the hustle, like you are working for yourself, you're self-employed, but you're working in a lot of different realms. So you do the podcast, you go guest on things, you MC things, you run your own event, like you're doing the radio. So effectively you're still run ragged.
Yeah.
Would you say that?
I've kind of curated my life a little bit over the years. Like many years ago I worked in marketing, and
when?
So I would have left school and wanted to do drama, wanted to do theatre studies, and that's what I did first. And I moved out of home and I kind of realised what it meant to pay rent and pay bills. So at the end of my theatre studies course, after the support kindly of my parents, I was pretty much on my own. I mean, I acknowledge I'm a very privileged person. I still could always have rang them, and I knew that, you know, was there for me, but I was independent and on my own. So I realised maybe I didn't love it enough because I wasn't interested in working in any theatre and any backstreet that might have led to something else. So I went into a marketing company and I started to do a marketing degree at night. And I worked in that for many years, but I got to one particular job where I was bored. I was bored sitting at a desk and I was clock watching, and that's when I thought, what else do I want to do? And there have been a couple of times where I have, in the broadcast industry, worked behind the scenes and been at a desk, but it hasn't suited me. So I've been freelance now for almost 12 years.
So did marketing lead to Spin Talks? No. How did you get into that?
So I at that desk that day, I was like, what am I going to do? And I thought, I did always have a bit of an interest in radio and TV. Like when I was a kid, my dad was a great man for taking the camcorder out. And I was always holding a hairbrush and presenting something. Yeah. But I don't think I had the confidence until I was about 24. I thought, well, actually, I don't need to be somebody else on stage. Why don't I just be myself? So I left my job. I said, I'm going to go and work in radio and TV. I got a job in a restaurant and I started knocking on doors. And I kind of mined my contacts, which is a really important way to break into any industry, really. And I had a friend, Brona, who was working on 98 FM at the time. We had been in drama college together and lived together. So she got me in at the weekends on the news team. So I'd be doing Vox Pops, whatever I could for free. And getting loads of great experience there. They were really, really kind to me. And people like Tina Gates and Johnny Lyons took me under their wing, taught me about writing stories and just let me watch and record and have a go. And I was probably coming back from one of the Vox Pops one day, and Jonathan McCrae, who I ended up presenting on Spin with, I had met him through a friend. And I knew he had jumped from IT into the TV world. So he was very interesting to me. And I'd kind of hammered him with questions. And he lived quite close at the time to where the studios were. And we literally bumped into each other. And he said, I think kids TV is not for me. I'd like to break into radio. Would you be interested in doing a demo? So some of it is down to luck and serendipity, but you need to be in the right place at the right time. And I had myself in the right time. Yeah.
He liked you. He loved your vibe. You were so charismatic and gorgeous. He was like, this could work. You were like, God, this could work. And it was that too. And that has happened to all of it. Like you talk about Johnny, God love Johnny. And when he died, it was so sad. But Tina Gates, Johnny, Brent O'Loughlin, all training me in the newsroom the day I was getting married in City Hall. And I was there with the dress under the thing, not wanting to tell them. And the training is remarkable in there. Like we had great help, but then you meet Johnny and that show, the legs that grew, because it became something else. But I always thought you stood out on that show because what you did is, as a female co-presenter, often, I'm not saying it's happening anymore, you were the kind of dolly bird, or you were meant to be, like particularly in BBC in the day, the sweet one. You really took that show and were the intelligent interrupter, disruptive. Like you were so brilliant on that radio show, and that wasn't always the case.
Well, it was really, really important to me that I learned how to drive the desk, that we shared that I was not the sidekick, I was the equal. Yes. And I do remember thinking that, and you're right, I think things have really changed, because around that time, even on quiz shows on TV, the man would be presenting and the girl would be like turning the numbers and bringing out the prizes. Yeah. So yeah, that was really important to me. And I've met a couple of female presenters along the way, and I said, make sure that you learn how to drive the desk, because then you essentially control the show that little bit more. Now, Johnny was a gorgeous partner. He's still one of my best friends to this day, and he was more than happy for me to do that.
But you'd put him in his place too. You'd be like, that makes no sense, or that's not. And I just thought you had a strength that we'd all, like Lauren O'Sullivan, myself, like we'd just be like, oh yeah. There was a badassness to you, It was attractive to listen to and relatable and badass. So it's great.
Oh, I loved that job. Yeah. It's still my favourite when I think
You're still my favourite one on that shit. Like it was just great because it had many dimensions after.
Yeah. I mean, when I think about what I love about broadcast, it's often to be that conduit, to be that person in the middle between what's going on in the world and the people at home. Yeah. And to allow people to tell their stories, to be in the centre of that. Because that was one of the first... Because we were like, text messages, we can read text messages. I know that sounds so geriatric now, but that was the truth of it. Yeah. We were one of the first shows to be taking in text messages like that. And then our lovely producing team, because we didn't do it on our own. We'd amazing Clare O'Dowd and many others working with us. Adore her still.
Everyone in there was amazing.
I still think of all my spin people as family, and there's still, you see
Lauren's
them.
my neighbour now. Our kids are in school together. I still see Brendan sometimes walk with Rebecca. I listen to them, and like this. You were very much in that family, and even Georgie coming on the podcast, like they're friends for life. Even if you don't see them, like they're friends for life.
Definitely, and there's so many people behind the scenes in management that people might not know. Like, this is a very small industry, so the people you work with, you know, they pop up everywhere, and thank God, because I do adore them. But that was amazing, and the production team would turn the text messages into callers, and yeah, there's memories from that show that I will never forget, and I really hope that at some point I get to go back and do a talk show like that again, connecting with the listeners and that real heart of what people are thinking and what's going on for them in their homes. I think that's the real special part of radio.
Okay, so we see you doing that. You make a wonderful curve into kind of telly and all that. Did you, and you don't have to answer this, like, did you have a burnout moment where you were like, I'm not fecking being the married, hustling mum of kids, doing all of this nonsense, I'm going out on my own? Or did you not burn out? You just slowly...
I came very close to burnout. So a gorgeous friend, another Spin family member, Serena Bellissimo, a real cheerleader for everybody.
Love her, one of my favourite people on
always has your back, is always like,
she'll
you're great at
me
this.
Out of nowhere and go, you're doing great. And I'm like, where the heck?
Yeah, she's great.
She's just a good egg.
And she must have been covering on the show with me. We were kind of doubling the talk show one day, and she was like, there's an opportunity coming up on Ireland AM. Anna Daly is going on maternity leave, and Laura Woods is also pregnant, so she can't do it. You should go for it. And I had my son at the time, and I was in the early stages of pregnancy. I was about 3 or 4 weeks pregnant, and I'd had a miscarriage just before that at 8 weeks. So I didn't know whether it was going to turn into anything. You never know. Yeah. And I wasn't at the time where I was ready to tell work and other people about it. And I was thinking, should I go for this? I'm pregnant. But I thought, well, what have I got to lose? And of course, my cheerleader was like, go for it. So I went for it. I got it. And I had wanted to be on Ireland AM for such a long time. I'd put myself forward for so many opportunities when they were looking for a female anchor. So I was chuffed to get it, but I kept doing Spin as well. So I was getting up in the morning. It sounds like one of your days, Rebecca.
Yeah,
I was doing
breakfast
Ireland AM, driving straight to Spin, doing Spin from 10 until 3, then driving home, picking up my toddler son.
I'm pregnant.
Coming home, getting on the trampoline with him, making dinner, doing whatever I had to do, getting into bed then for story time, reading my notes for the next day. And I did that for 8.5 months. And towards the end of it, I remember that feeling. So Johnny had also decided that he was going to go into science and technology. So he was going to move on from the show. And we had been doing it for 5 years at that point. So he was going to leave and I was going on maternity leave. So it was a real end of an era. So we went for a lunch, and that photo pops up every now and then because it was myself, him, Lauren was working behind the scenes, and Cloud. And we all went for lunch, and I can see in my face, I remember I couldn't even really engage in that lunch because I was so absolutely exhausted. And I was so afraid to say no. Like, I remember, and it came to an end. And look, it was something I loved doing as well. That was the thing. That was what was driving me. I was loving and enjoying it. Yeah. But somewhere in the back of my mind, I think I thought that people were going to be watching me slaving away, and that there was going to be reward for this at the end.
What is that?
And there
literally
isn't.
Hit the nail on the head. People are going to be watching, loads of minions, everyone's sitting in the back of this thing in the world watching Rebecca Horan or Clare McKenna stave, and they're going to go, first prize, big job, it doesn't happen. And fear drives that, and fear is so dangerous for women, particularly in every industry, because when you're so afraid, it keeps you down, and it keeps you in a place where you're always on this wheel, hamster wheel, which isn't reality. And actually, when you start saying no, and actually nah, or pushing back, it's only then that people go, oh, it's just so scary. Like, you've just hit the nail on the head. No one cares.
No. And like, that's just
No one's going,
a life learning.
McKenna did 24 hours today. And she's been doing that for 6 years. She is incredible. Nobody cares.
Yeah.
In fact, it's annoying to people.
Yeah. And it's just an important message for people to get, because I learned it the hard way. And I'm putting that on me, not on the other people, because I went on maternity leave and then I started to panic. Like, there's a newborn baby coming into the mix of this. And I remembered what an atomic bomb it had been, much as it was a beautiful and much loved atomic bomb it was. And I was so stressed. I had this like
What does stress
tension.
feel like for you? Tension?
I had tension in my jaw. I had to go for 3 pregnancy massages. I couldn't unclench my jaw. And
So all of it was here. It's like when they say release your,
it's mad to think that I did that. And it took me a long time to come back down from all of that.
Would you get sick? Did you have symptoms through stress? Was there anything that revealed itself? Or?
No, that was kind of it. I remember having to try and unclench my jaw and being kind of unable to do it and having that sense of panic. Now, everybody does when there's a baby on the way, think, oh my God. But I was so close to burnout. I would say that was a burnout lesson for me. And everything just went back to normal. Everybody came back to their job. Life went on without me. There was no award ceremony. I went on to have my lovely daughter and have my maternity leave. And that was a big eye-opener for me. And it was something that I really took with me. Because there isn't an award, you have to be looking after yourself. You have to be rewarding yourself.
So interesting. So no one came to you at home with your baby and went, by the way, you were amazing in that crazy few months. No one cares.
And they were lovely. Obviously, the team were like, it was so lovely to work with you. You were great. And thanks a million for everything. And, you know, everything went back to normal. So you have to advocate for yourself and really look at where you're spending your time and what you're doing, because burnout kind of creeps up. You don't notice it happening. You're just saying yes, as you said, out of fear.
Fear.
And there's no need for that.
Shift. I'd do the morning shift to 98 and then go into Newstalk at night till midnight. So I'd read bulletins effectively for 14, 15 hours. Now, they didn't necessarily, even though they could have listened to both stations, the management, but they didn't really know, because I wanted to make that money to get a mortgage. And I did that, I remember, for 6 months, and I lost 2 stone nearly and became very, very unwell, like dangerously unwell, and was sweating through my sheets at night and thought I was going mad. And I just remember my husband going, you're having panic attacks. Like, this isn't a panic attack, it's something wrong with the bedroom temperature. He's like, you're driving around Ballsbridge at night, you're sweating through your sheets, and you're reading a bulletin like that. You're just... And that was burnout. And I hit that quite young, and then I've several times not learnt my lesson again. But it was just mental at the time. Someone had to actually go, you all right?
And maybe it's, I mean, I know all kinds of people can burn out, but maybe it's something about the industry, because there are only so many slots to be filled. And there are so many people who would love to be in your position.
It's personality based. I don't know. I still think if we were all you and I were working in tech, or we were vets, or we were teachers, I wonder about that myth of it's the media, like, because there's always a job, right? I'm not saying it's the Ireland AM anchor role or it's the BBC, but there's always going to be a job in media where you get to be a creator. I think it's a personality, and it's derived, again, parenting podcast, from your childhood or from how you view yourself growing up and what you need to get out of life. I don't know if it's this industry. That's why I asked you at the top, like, is it industry? I think it's personality, and I think we'll never change. I think we'll go and get the safe, secure job if we really have to, or, you know, and it'll still be this.
Yeah, and maybe when you have a dream to achieve something and you get there, you don't necessarily want to let it go. But that's something that I have learned. You're right. The respect comes when you respect yourself enough to go, no, that doesn't suit me. Thanks for the opportunity. I might pass on that. Like, that's really important. And I didn't know that at the time.
So you are at a pivotal stage in your career, you know, really successful, but you go on to have the second baby, much wanted second baby, and you're in the midst of that. How was all of that? Was there a fear about work? Was it just enjoy the 2 bobos? How were you in your head and your state?
Again, when I look back, I was looking at maternity leave as an opportunity to look at what's next. You know, why? And
oh my God.
I got my hair done yesterday, and my lovely hairdresser, Ciara, is pregnant, and she was asking me a few questions. We were obviously talking about the bump and everything that's going on. And I was like, if I could go back, I'd do the 4th trimester. Nobody really talked about the 4th trimester. And we do now. And we talk about the importance of I mean, it's obvious. You've just had a baby, for God's sake. Of course you should be resting. Whereas around that time, the messaging was sort of like bouncing back and getting back, and
when you're back and when you're back from maternity, we'll talk then, and you'll look I just find that whole realm, I'm just very glad to be out of it. I found it really hard.
And like, I don't want to make it sound like I didn't have an amazing time, especially baby 2. I felt like I knew what I was doing. You know, that baby learned how to self-soothe in the way my first never did.
Same, yeah.
And I'd be really relaxed, and I'd be like, oh, you're hungry. Oh, you're tired. Oh, you're this, rather than, I don't know what I'm doing here. So that was lovely. Had a boy, had a girl, was thrilled with myself, both beautiful, really happy family life. But I'm just saying, these are lessons that I wish I had have heard, perhaps. Podcasts weren't a thing either.
No, not really. No, definitely not. And are we awakened because of podcasts talking, women getting out there and help? Like, are we a bit awakened to the wasted? Like, my first mat leave with my kid, I went back gruelingly early to work. Horrendous anyway. And in retrospect, I still think, has that hurt or affected her? Her attachment, or is that just her personality? Because she was in this creche from very young. I was bringing breast milk across to her and stuff like that. And then I look at my second, where I took a full year, just dug deep, got on with it, and really enjoyed that. But again, didn't enjoy the 4th trimester because I was back into the realm. Like, is it great that we're all talking about it? Is it helping? Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. I think even the idea of the 4th trimester, that's certainly something that I've seen coming through even on social media. And I think it's really positive. And I think people are a lot more honest and authentic now. Like, I follow Mrs. Hinch. She's just had her 3rd baby. And, you know, she's posting of the mess and the chaos, and, you know, how she hasn't washed her hair in days, and there was a pad on the ground, and she's like circling it going, how did that get there? You know, and just the reality of it. Whereas we were seeing more sort of perfection, you know, and coming back to yourself.
Photo shoots and
yeah. And around that time, there would have been a lot of criticism of, you know, bodies and weight gain and all that side of things. So all of that was sort of feeding into it. You were looking at Victoria Beckham arriving back, and you know, and all of this seemed to be achievable and something to strive to. So I think that was sort of in my head. Like, I remember just getting back out with my buggy and walking, you know, all that kind of stuff. I wish I was like, relax,
you got years.
Get into bed.
You got years.
And I did really soak her up now, because I knew how quick it went with my son, how quick he went from newborn to toddler. So I really soaked up that time, and I knew it was an opportunity. And I sat on the couch and I watched Oprah Winfrey's season of her last ever Oprah Winfrey show. And I do really remember that. I tried to soak it in. But yeah, I remember trying to make calls and trying to see what was next. And, you know, instead of just bedding down and, chilling out.
You're in your 40s now, and the calm, I would say calm, articulate, gorgeous confidence that you have. Like, there's just a serenity of, like, I know what I'm at. You see you achieving, you know, we watch you on social media, we hear you. Would you say this beautiful, you know, high self-esteem and confidence and worthiness, do you think it comes from your upbringing, or have you had to really develop that?
I was born to my mum and dad who really wanted kids. My mum was a maternity nurse, so like she was, you know, around births for years, and then they had fertility issues. So it took them 5 years before they had me. So I always say I was a bit like Simba in The Lion King. Like, I was, you know...
precious cargo.
Yes. And then it was another 5 years before they had my sister and brother. Then they just had Irish twins. So sometimes there's just no explaining with fertility what can happen. And I think that really I think those 5 years really set the tone for me as a bit of a princess.
Yes.
Because I was the centre of their world. So that was very formative for me.
As in, that love poured into you, that gratitude for having you, you just feeling special on this earth was good for you?
Yeah, I mean, you're always, if that's what you're set as your template, you're always looking for that. Like, I always wonder why I've sought out a career where I'm kind of the centre of attention in a way. And it was, is that part of it? But I always just had this love of performing. And my dad would always have been somebody that would walk into a room, and he was not a vain man or you know, full of ego, but he would kind of light up a room, and he would have people laughing and joking, and he'd love to sing a song, and he'd love all of that. So, I mean, obviously that fed down into me. And like I say, we used to film shows, make radio programs together. So all of those sort of things definitely informed who I am. And that's been the basis of it. I've always had a bit of a self-belief. I mean, obviously I get imposter syndrome, self-confidence issues, especially in this industry. Yeah. You know, there's been times where things haven't gone the way I've wanted them to. And instead of just saying rejection is just, you know, misdirection, I've gone off and licked my wounds for a while. So I'm definitely not immune to that. But one of the marketing jobs that I worked in, one of the first ones, would send us on all these personal development courses. And that really shaped me as well, because that wasn't spoken about at that time, because we didn't have social media, as you say, we didn't have podcasts. We weren't really talking about it in that way. There were just a few books that were called self-help books, and they wouldn't have been in the general discussion. So to sit in front of people and be taught about goal setting, and if you can believe it, you can achieve it, that set off a real fire in me.
Manifestation vibe.
Yeah. And it was very much around commercial success then. So the people on stage were like, there was a guy in particular, a Scottish guy, Jack Black, he really kind of imprinted on me. And he was talking like that, and he was a really good speaker. But he was like, this is a picture of my yacht, and I bought this, and I came from, you know, a council estate, and now look at me. And that, there was something in that made me think, if you can believe it, you can achieve it. And I suppose I've kind of lived a bit like that as well. And I've always been conscious that we just get one life. So why wouldn't you give it a go? I kind of said at some point, I don't know when, I don't want to get, I think I said 60. Obviously now I'm pushing that way out. I don't want to get to 60 and wish I had done things. I always want to give them a go. So I think that fuels me a little bit as well.
Your kids and how you bring them up and how you are around them, how would you describe yourself? Because I would know you from a distance and see you, and then I have you here, but how are you at home with the kids?
It's been a steep learning curve.
They're teens. I can't get over the fact that you have human teens being things.
Well, I've one. I have a 13-year-old and an 11-year-old.
Okay.
Now, he's nearly 14, so yeah, he's well into the teens. It's been a learning curve. Like, I found it tough. I did find it tough at the start, especially, you know, managing work, running, you know, from one thing to the other, coming back from pickups, me and my husband working it out together. So I certainly was not zen all the time. Did
you ever kill each other, or were you quite good at being a team?
I'd kill each other and great at being a team.
Yeah, okay.
Both, because it's really difficult. You're really trying to recalibrate. And something that really fascinated me was that this generation parent very differently to how we were parented.
Raised, sure.
But nobody told us how to do it. So no more shouting, no more, you know, little slap.
No saying you're bold, no little slap when they're, even though I'll sometimes say, do you want a little smack in your hand? And I hear people go, and I'm sorry, it's the only thing that got her to put her pajamas on.
And I'm not saying I wanted to bring all that back. It's been real progress that we've done that, but it still left you without
some of the discipline.
You know, I didn't know sometimes how to do it, and then we had a lot of guilt if you did shout or lose it. You know, then you'd have the guilt associated with it.
I don't remember anyone apologising to you or I.
No. So that I found challenging. But we you know, we came through it, we learned, we worked at it, and that's something that I really hold dear. Between myself and my husband, we're very much, it's one of the things I love most about him, we're very much into kind of a reflection. How are things going here? Very open to talking. He's very open to that kind of conversation as well, and what can we do? And we've just tweaked it. But we've also loved it as well. I mean, do you ever get memories come up on your phone?
Yeah, I want to die. I mean, I have a 3 and 7-year-old, so I'm kind of in it a bit.
Yeah, still in it.
But the 7-year-old, I get stuff and I go, oh, that was her when she was 1. And it like, it's all nonsense, but it does I hate when people say, but it passes like a frickin', because we had COVID for her and now we're out of that, and now she's 7 and she's a human, and I'm just like, this is so creepy.
Yeah, and I just feel like the first 10 years, because I'm in the second decade of it, the first decade went so fast that I'm really, really trying to be in it. And I know it's hard because it's very chaotic when they're very small. And my sister obviously, as I mentioned earlier, she's 5 years younger than me. She lives in America, but she was home and staying with us over Christmas. And she has a 6-year-old, a 4-year-old, and a 2-year-old. And as I say, often me and my husband share those little videos that come up on your iPhone of memories. And sometimes I actually weep a little bit. I'm like, where are those little people? And we really lament, and we're like, why couldn't we go back then? Did we really enjoy it? Were we really in it? But I watched my sister over Christmas, and I'm like, no wonder we weren't in it. She never stopped. She never stopped.
And you take the golden, like we had a little holiday recently, and like from the manicness of making sure that they don't get burnt and they survive and they don't fall into the pool and they eat and they go to the loo and you get your nappies. Like, it's insane. But there are the magic moments where you sit, and I do it a lot more. And I think that's down to the social medias of take that moment, take it in. Like we're being told to. I think back in the day it was survival, right? And the privilege of sitting there and just watching them play and stuff. And I do hold those moments dear, because I know they'll be fleeting and they'll be gone. They won't want to hold my hand, or they won't want, like last night Simone was screaming for me and I feel so I'm like, yes, I'm here, like mama, and it's a desperate plea. And I used to find that really great, like with my first kid I found that really grating. I'd be like, God, what, like I'm trying to sleep now, I'm like, this will never happen again. No one's ever going to call for me at night. No one's ever going to need me this much, which is a validation issue obviously, but I just was so thrilled to, I'm here.
It's lovely. And that was always one of my favourite parts is nighttime and bedtime. And not just because you were getting a break, but, you know, that winding down time. Like having kids really makes you appreciate the day and the clock, because obviously you get up earlier. You're just more aware of time, I think, and the clock and the evening time, and everything starts winding down. And then everyone gets into their bed and the little night lights are on, and it's lovely. That goes, by the way, in the second decade. You know, my fella's 10 o'clock. He's like, I'm just one last game, Mom. And I'm like, I need to be in bed. I've got to work tomorrow. But I'm really focused this decade on connection with them and maintaining that connection with them. And I would have had quite a fractious teenage relationship with my parents. We fought a lot. I think because of the age difference between me and my brother and sister, I think if we were all going through teens together, it might have been easier. I was kind of streaking out for independence at the time. They were still doing bedtime and bath time. And I think that led to me leaving home earlier. So I was really focused that I didn't want that in my parenting. Yeah. Now, obviously, I've got much greater understanding for how difficult it is to give your kids independence as they hit teens. And that's what you always get when you go through it. You get more of an understanding of what your own parents were feeling. But connection is a really important focus for me with both of them.
Do you feel like your triumphs are that you maintain, you know, this great career visibly anyway? Like we all see you triumph, that's a success story with your kids, that you're showing them that mama works really hard, then you're great? Or do you think there's other triumphs within your parenting? Like you're saying, connection, maintaining friendship, respect, or is there something else you feel you do well? Disciplinarian?
I mean, I think that setting up of life that I mentioned, I think going freelance, and I know I was lucky to be able to do that, and I'm not saying that people who work shift work or 9 to 5, you know, and have kids in creche don't have a connection with their kids, because that's completely not true. But because I went freelance, I just juggled it. So the first year I went freelance, I made an absolute balls of it. I was working behind the scenes in Today FM, kind of going from week to week. And it was a great learning curve for me. I worked on all the different shows in the production teams, but every week was different. So I couldn't really cement childcare. And I had the childminder from my next door neighbours was leaving, and I nabbed her. And until she found a permanent job, we went from week to week, month to month. And I was paying her, and she was great, and the kids loved her. I was paying for parking because I was driving in and out of town to try and get back to her, to let her go. And it got to the end of the year, and I was like, okay, to my accountant, you know, what's my tax bill? And I'm like, well, where's that?
Where's my money?
I'm like, are you serious? I owe X amount. Okay. And I had to borrow that from the credit union.
Yeah.
So the next year, I was like, right, I need to be on this. So I would only pick work that allowed me to pick my own kids up. But that meant I was a bit run ragged. So I was always the mum running to the queue of, you know, when they're at the age where you meet them outside the school with their teacher. I was always that mum. running, legging it, sorry. And sometimes...
At least you are that mum. My kids said to me, I say, why do you never collect me at 2? Ever.
Yeah.
Never felt more stabbed.
And what did you say, though? Did you say because mom's at work?
I was actually kind of stunned because I feel like I'm amazing. I feel like I do my absolute damnedest as a 5-day working 9 to 5 commuting from Wicklow in Mama. I feel like I'm always there for breakfast.
Yes.
I make them. I do breakfast disco. I bring the dog out for a walk. I drop them to school. I make sure to drop. I feel like I'm there for every bedtime. I put them both like bath beds. I'm very much hands-on on the weekends. I'm not fanning off clubbing. I'm there. And so I was like, this little moment of the day, what? You don't care. You've got granny collecting you or the minder or you have an activity. Why would you care? But she cares because all the other moms, now it's not true. I know loads of the working moms, but what did I say? I just went, okay, but I'm working so we can do all that. I kind of gave a really stupid, innocuous answer, but it really stung. She wasn't trying to be mean.
No.
She was just saying it. She's like, why can't you? It would really be nice to talk to you about my day and do, because we've no Gael Gores in the house because my husband's South African. I'd like to do my Gaelic with you, Mum, and talk to you and for you to make the food. Just couldn't. I had to walk out.
But we're very hard on ourselves. You can't do it all. You can't do everything. You can't be everywhere at every one time. And
some people can, and I think that's what, like I thought about my mum who gave up her career to be at home with us, but then I don't know if that benefits anyone either.
And, sometimes my kids would be like, why are you picking us up? Why is Dad not picking us up? You know what I mean? They say this stuff,
Yes.
and I get why you were hurt, and obviously, I completely understand. And they always miss you. Sure, even if we're going out for dinner, on a date night, my daughter's like, where are you going? And I remember that as a kid, you'd smell your mom's perfume and be like, are they going out? Is the babysitter coming?
Home? Yeah.
Like, it's a very normal reaction for them to feel, but we're allowed to have our own lives too.
I like that. That's a good one. What are the hopes? Can you tell me a bit about what you're doing in the space that you're in now? Like, I feel like you're very much in the wellness. You're embracing it. You share wonderful content. You're emceeing. Tell me a bit about what you're doing, because I can't really describe it as well as you will.
So that sort of found me. So my freelance career, a lot of it came down to cover. I was covering for people, covering on R&AM, when people went away, and there was always somebody going away until it came to the pandemic, and then nobody was going away anywhere. But I always seemed to be there because there was always somebody going away. So that cover for me has been a big part of my career, and that has meant I'd be on one week, I'd be off the next. I could gather myself together. I could change a few beds, and I could pull it back. So that really worked for me. And I had called Newstalk. Like I said, one of my old bosses was now working in there. And I was saying, was there any cover? And I was thinking of current affairs and lifestyle because that's what I had been working in. So he said, we'll keep you in mind. But there's a health and wellness show that's kind of sat since Dr. Ciara Kelly left it. Would you be interested in going for that? And I wondered why I'd never pitched a health and wellness program, because it was a space I was really interested in, and I got the job. So I've been working on that now for 6 years this month.
That's 6 years.
Me neither. I kind of feel because COVID was in the middle of it, that was what, 2 years.
That's
so
amazing.
It feels like 4. But anyway, that moved me more into this space and sent me on a real journey of, I don't want to sound like, but of like self-exploration myself and what I thought health and wellness was. Because I kind of realised, I don't know if you're really healthy. I think you're just really enshrined in diet culture and being really hard on yourself.
Or aesthetically being great, but not maybe internally being,
So
everything's okay on the outside. Your moles are checked. You're fitting into your size 10, but are you okay? Yeah, totally.
And I was really overwhelmed because obviously all the noise had ramped up. So it had gone from diet and exercise to all of this different stuff like paleo, carnivore, intermittent fasting, CrossFit, marathon, and I was like, I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing. And I was doing little bits of everything, but not really questioning how it was working for me. So I worked with a team of people that I met through the show over a year, and my sole purpose was to find out, what does health and wellness truly mean?
Love it.
And at the end of it, because when I started it, I always say, in truth, I wanted to just get to the end of it because I wrote about it for Life magazine and The Independent.
It was brilliant. I loved it.
All I was thinking of really was those pictures at the end where I was going to be ripped and I was going to tell everybody how amazing this journey had been.
Here I am,
But over the 6 months, which ended up being a year because of the pandemic, I let all of that go. And that was the transformation. It flipped from the outside to the inside. And that's what I started to become interested in sharing. And that's why I went on to get a qualification. So when I was asked to give a talk, that I had something to back it up. So I got a qualification as an integrative health coach. So that's all around lifestyle medicine and preventative medicine and general well-being. So I try and help people through the overwhelm, and I try to be really authentic. I don't want to be known. I mean, you called me a guru. Like, there is no such thing. Like, I am just as chaotic as anybody else, but I've worked out what are my foundations, what are the pillars.
Or your core values. I think when John Belton was on, he said, Bex, it's about values. Is it the family? Is it the holidays? Is it the money? Is it the I said, well, what do you mean? You can have, and he goes, you can have 3 out of the 7 or 8. Like 3. So go pick your 3. Because we can't, you know what I mean?
And they can change. Like, I think we've chapters in life.
Yeah.
You know, it's one thing to say it's really important to be sleeping well, eating well, but, you know, work things can come in, family things can come in. You know, when my dad was unwell with dementia, you know, yes, my well-being slipped, but I also knew on days where I was leaving, caring for him or being there with my mom, that it was really important for me to walk the pier before I went home. So that to me is well-being. And sometimes I think that's missing when we're talking about counting calories and all that sort of thing.
And the rest. And also showing your daughter and your son, I presume, how to rest, not to be a busy fool.
Yeah, I'm sure I'm a busy fool a lot of the time, but I'm also really passionate about having no diet culture in the house, particularly for my daughter.
You don't talk about bad foods or treats or snack. You don't do that?
No, I've kind of made a balls of that. But
but you're not overly anal about...
I'm not about
diet and
body
image,
and I would never talk about weight loss as being a positive thing or weight gain being a negative thing or counting calories or
when I'm
anything
in my
like
bikini
that.
or even if I am squishier, like I always go, God, I look great. I'm very cognizant of that because I grew up in a time where everything was fat and hideous and ugly and I'm like, I'm just great, and I'm hoping she relate. And she's very open about being happy in her little body now, so I'm really hoping that stays.
Yeah, I mean, it still seeps in. It's even though there's been no discussion of it, it still seeps in. There's certain things my 11-year-old daughter will say, I'm like, no one's immune to it. But that was something that's very important to me, that I have that they have self-confidence, both of them, and don't get pulled down by all that nonsense.
You're a fountain of knowledge. If you don't follow her, I'm sure you do. It's Clare McKenna Presents. She MCs, she gives these talks, she presents. She's just, and everyone likes her in the industry. And I think that sounds wishy-washy, like, oh, go on. But, like, there's never a bad, like, it's a Clare McKenna. Because you just lift people and you've got a gorgeous kind of vibe. And so everyone likes you. So it's like, I've got to get this woman on. Because I've had so many people in the industry on and presenters on and old Virgin Media heads on. And I was like, I've never asked Clare McKenna. And you're killing it. So long may that continue. And thanks for inspiring us all to just kind of, like, sit tight and you'll get there.
And look, I'm lucky, you know, the people I've worked with have been amazing. That's one thing about this industry. We might give out about it in some ways and the hustle and everything, but the people that you meet, the personalities, the fun. I mean, my job is fun. This is work. We've just chatted and, you know,
shared stories,
shared our experiences, and this is work. So I feel very lucky and very grateful.
Thank you so much for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
Sponsored by Optimal Follow On. We believe that every feed is a gift. That's why we've dedicated over 50 years to breast milk research. Optimal Follow On Milk, your life, our science. Breastfeeding is best. Follow On milk should be used as part of a mixed diet from 6 months. Talk to a health professional. If you like this episode, will you please rate it, subscribe and share it with others? This helps me get the guests that you want to hear.